The VI Justice Department and other reps from the government, nonprofits, and faith-based organizations on Tuesday, October 1st, they gathered on the first day of the Nonprofits Violence Prevention Summit at the University of the Virgin Islands on St. Thomas.
What we need to do and what we strove to do this year, especially in our budget, is to create a situation where we're supporting those programs that work well.
Governor Albert Bryant was in attendance and gave opening statements.
The thing is, the Virgin Islands has the fourth highest incarceration rate in the world. But arresting people and putting them in jail is not going to solve the problem. You see, we can't police our way out of this. We can't find enough people to police our streets, even if we had 800 of them, to stop it. What we recognize in this community is that gun control has totally failed.
The summit was part of the university's Center for Excellence in Leadership and Learning and is intended to strengthen the critical partnership between the nonprofit community and government agencies to help eliminate violence in the VI.
The Virgin Islands does not have manufacturers of firearms. And I worked here in the territory from 1997 to 2001, and I tell you this, even though we have firearm licensing requirement, I've heard individuals in this community, to include children, say if they wanted to get a hold of a firearm, they can access guns. That's a challenge. One of the things that we need to do is really continue to educate our people, let them know that firearms in the wrong hands is not a good thing, but conflict resolution is always a good thing.
There was a panel discussion about gun violence with Labor Commissioner Gary Molloy, VI Police Commissioner Trevor Velinor, Law Enforcement Planning Commission Director Ray Martinez, Human Services Commissioner Kimberley Causey-Gomez, Attorney General Denise George, Health Commissioner Justa Encarnacion, and Corrections Bureau Director Wynnie Testamark.
Major challenges is exactly this population, 16 to 24, not employed and out of school. How do you get them to come into the agency to be able to seek, to find out what's available for them? And the simple answer that we've come up with is that they're not coming in, so we have to start making sure that the outreach that we're going to them. We're going to begin partnering with as many agencies that we can, and many nonprofits that we can, that's already doing some work with this population. But we have an opportunity to be able to provide these youth with training opportunities that lead to national certification that would help them to be able to become an entry-level worker. And so the goal for us is to, one, get the attention by going out and doing more outreach.
VI Attorney General Denise George shared more about the Department of Justice's social action programs for the prevention of crime and witness protection programs for the protection of witnesses and victims of crimes.
We are charged with the prosecution of all crimes and offenses committed against the laws of the Virgin Islands. So we deal with the prosecution, and we must do so in the name of the people of the Virgin Islands. So my view of this with respect to prevention is that, particularly in these cases with violent crimes and violent gun crimes in our territory, I find that one of the most effective means of prevention and deterrence to crime is strict and swift enforcement. When there are penalties and when it is noticed that there are penalties, that people would be brought to justice and there will be consequences for certain actions.
The VI Justice Department, under the leadership of the Attorney General, has several divisions comprising of 130 employees on St. Thomas and St. Croix.
As far as prosecutions, once of course, the Virgin Islands Police Department, they're the first responders with respect to violent crimes in our community. And then what happens is that once they make their arrest and everything, that it goes to for prosecution, for conviction. So in essence, the VI Police Department gets them off the streets, and the prosecution office, the Office of the Attorney General, prosecutes in order to keep them off the streets. But the message that is sent with strict prosecution and tough sentences is very important. And just since I've been in the position of Attorney General, just since April, the prosecution teams at the VI Department of Justice have been effectively prosecuting cases and prevailing and getting convictions and substantial sentences. We do have a section, particularly, or generally attorneys within that section, particularly designated to handling domestic violence crimes. And so in a way, it's unfortunate sometimes to think, well, it seems like the agency just deals with everything after the fact. It's after it's already happened. But that's just with respect to this particular agency what we have to do regarding the prosecution, but also assistance to the victims of domestic violence. Also in our victim advocate section, we do a lot of the education in the community with respect to domestic violence. We often offer counseling not only to the victims, but also work hand in hand, oftentimes the Department of Human Services, in order to get some kind of settlement or resolution that would entail the perpetrator or the persons involved and the victims. It would entail them getting the kind of counseling that's needed in order to prevent further acts of domestic violence.
The Virgin Islands Police Department, we do provide training to our officers to be able to respond to domestic violence situation, make assessment, and present cases for prosecution upon arrest. Additionally, we also have a victim witness coordinator in each of the districts, both in St. Thomas, St. John District, along with the St. Croix District. These individuals help to make sure that the victims are heard, that they know and are able to track the cases as they're going from point A to point B and through the system. If the individual is going to be released, then the victim witness coordinator is able to advise them and also make sure that the court is aware as to the impact on the victim.
At one point, many people, or it probably happens even now, where victims of domestic violence were often fearful of reporting it because of the fact that they would fear that they would be deported, especially since in many cases the perpetrator would be, let's say, the significant other and the person who is actually working on getting their papers. So they become in a very volatile and difficult situation where they feel that, oh, well, if I report this and I get the help and the services I need from law enforcement, that means that, I would have to be, it would jeopardize my ability to get the papers, of my immigration papers. Now, there have been laws that have been made to address that, where a complaint as a victim of a crime, any kind of offense, whether it's domestic violence or otherwise, cannot result in you being deported. It cannot be used against you, and it cannot be used as a vehicle in order to get you deported. And in a lot of ways, there are also certain aspects of that immigration law that actually protects the victim at that point in time, keeping in mind that the victims may be in a situation that the very person who is sponsoring them is the perpetrator.
At LEPC, we fund the family awards that are used by the Family Resource Center, by the Women's Coalition, by a number of other small agencies who provide anything from just assistance for victim services, both through our VAWA and our VOCA grants, our Victims of Crime grants and our Violence Against Women grants. But there is so much more, and we're hoping that there are individuals in this space who have an idea for victim services. At the end of the day, we just do not, here as a territory, we do not have enough victim units that provide victim services, counseling, just outright sometimes general assistance, basic assistance that that those individuals, those women who have been victims of certain crimes, victims of domestic violence,
and it goes even a little further, just victims of crime in and of itself. We need to get more nonprofits, we need to get more of the faith-based involved, and for you to come forward and apply for these grants, apply for these awards. If you have an idea, give us a call, and we'd be more than happy to run through the scope of the grants.
Sometimes the young ones, they just need someone to listen. They're dealing with grown-up issues that they really should not be dealing with. And we find that it has been successful. And so we have partnered with the Department of Education. We have adopted schools where we go in once a month and we talk to the kids, elementary and a junior high school. We've done that so far in St. Croix. We're looking to do the same thing here in St. Thomas. And we listen to them and we tell them, look, come to school, work on your grades, whatever you need, we're there to help them, not only them, but the family, because we believe in taking care of the total person. I know when people think of corrections, they only think about incarceration, but it's more than just incarceration. If we deal with the children at that young age, then it will prevent them from coming into our jails and prisons. So we look forward to working